forward to a proper report of building bridges initiative, and if there will be a referendum tutakuwa ndani ya hiyo, so that we can save this country.
Tunaunga mkono referendum. Na ndio naambia watu yako Mheshimiwa Maina Kamanda. Hapa ndio tulipropose tubadilishe katiba. Uhuru bado ni mdogo, ataenda wapi? To create governance, hao watu wote waingie ndani, tukimaliza uchaguzi iko amani. Sasa nitakuwa mtinga namna gani? Hiyo watu watangatanga.
Too young to retire. Are you convinced? Is that a good reason to go for a referendum?
A referendum should not be only by one reason. To have a referendum, there is a process. You know, the involvement of the county government, the involvement of political parties, the Building Bridges initiative, the president himself. So you cannot say referendum is really for one issue. You cannot say referendum is to extend the President Uhuru's term. In fact, he himself has gone clear that he wants to leave Kenya a more united country, and his main agenda now is to fight corruption. And he keeps on saying, I'm on my last term. So you can, the reason to do a referendum, which is a very expensive affair, cannot be just that particular one. So I believe this was Atwoli's own opinion, expression of his own feeling of matters relating to the nation.
All right,
you cannot say it is conclusive.
You may say it's a feeling, but it's not the first time we're hearing of it. We've heard of stories that the handshake is going to look for a way through BBI on how to review the constitution for sustainable peace in the future elections. But Honorable Gachagua, is that a path that we should actually pursue? Aren't we good enough with the document that we now have?
I think that rally at Uhuru Park, I watched it on television. It was a political rally. The workers' issues were not even discussed. It was about politics. It was about issues of giving members of parliament to come and speak. And the meeting, you know, is for a national thing to talk about workers. What I think Kenya Atwoli and company are doing, there's a lot of psychophancy. It has become very fashionable for people who have fought President Kenyatta all their lives now to keep on dragging his name to look good. The president, the way Honorable Manso has said, the whole way Honorable Manso has said, the president is clear that he is on his last term. The president has demonstrated his ability to respect the constitution. In fact, the president had a chance to defy the constitution. When he won the election, fair and square, the courts ordered that they be repeated and he complied. It means he believes in constitutionalism. He believes in the rule of law. So what people are doing is just looking for relevance. And once the president himself has said he's on his last term, who are you to keep on saying he's too young to retire? The president, when he sought for this seat, he knew his age. Sam. I mean, we all knew his age. And we gave him, 10 years, which he asked for, and which is working, and we are supporting him. And I think you can have a ridiculous reason like that one to change the constitution. A constitution is made for a population. It's for a country. It's for a nation. You do it for the betterment of everybody. You can't do it for a person. And I think these people are just looking for relevance. Anytime you open your mouth to speak, you have gotten live coverage, and you want to be heard to say something controversial so that you can grab newspaper headlines. I would have loved to listen Atwoli propagate issues to do with workers.
All right.
That is his domain. That is his main business. These are the things he's talking about. It's not his concern. That is a concern for other people. He should have used the day to talk about workers. Right.
And Honorable Oloch, just when you heard Atwoli saying that President Uhuru Kenyatta is still a bit young, that sort of mindset, is what has kept perhaps even the African continent in general enslaved, when you have people who think you're too old, you're too young still to retire. Should we be looking at politics and leadership from that perspective, whether you're too young or too old?
I think the whole idea that we should review our constitution should not be focused on individuals. I think we will lose the point. Eventually we may kill this referendum before it even takes off. I think there are key issues, and those key issues are captured in the memorandum between the President and Right Honorable Raila when they did the handshake, that I think we need to relook this document in terms of our cohesiveness. Has there been a problem every election cycles? There is a question of inclusivity or exclusivity. Those are the issues we need to be talking about. There's still things out there about Parliament being unable to achieve the 2/3 gender rule. Should we approach it by a referendum? And the question then is to keep it or not to keep it. There are those who are saying, let's approach this issue otherwise and look at how we can look at the gender question outside of elective seats. So I think that there are serious questions to be looked at outside of an individual. And I think I agree with him. The president has said, and I think the most recent was a conference for investors on infrastructure, when he said he has not expressed any interest, both in private and in public, that he wants to be there. And I think it would be very unfortunate if we went that path. Museveni is now doing his 37th, 40th year.
Do you think we should bring back presidential age limit?
I don't think so. I think this serves us really well, and they say in the West, if it's not broken, why fix it? Right. I think the idea of having a 10-year fixed term was to avoid a situation where you have life presidents, people entrenching themselves into government, and to the extent that you can be synonymous with when you're talking about presidents in Uganda, you can't talk about anywhere. Now, I'm very glad today I saw somewhere, and I hope this means something,
Bobby Wine.
that Bobby Wine now, Museveni is at 32%. Bobby Wine has overtaken this Besigye. And if you put their votes together, the 13% of Besigye and the 22% of, they can actually beat Museveni. Whether they can do that, but that's very interesting for me, that the narrative is changing. But it's unfortunate that at this age, and Museveni having done 37 years, they will open up that term limit. I think it would be a very sad day for Kenyans if we went that route.
Yeah. So, of course, opinion is still divided on whether we will need a referendum or not, but whatever the case is, how do we salvage that process from people hijacking an agenda that should ideally be to help Kenya resolve the concerns it has?
Thank you very much. I think the concerns that should be brought forward is based on what Wanjiku, the interest of Wanjiku. And at the beginning of the show, you asked, what are we doing? Or what should Kenyans be done to ensure that their concerns are captured? And I would see a referendum question that will ensure we protect the interest and ensure we protect the interest and welfare of the Kenyans at all the time. And I've always, you know, if referendum should be not based as individuals, as my brother said, it should be based on the issues. You know, a constitution is a document that is so sacred that should give the direction to this country. And if you look even at the best constitutions like the US Constitution, it has been amended rarely because it is a document that binds the country, that brings the country together. And that is why I'm worried. When you look at the BBI, their main agenda has never really to carry on with the purview that they were given, but at the end goal they just want to referendum. Secondly and finally is that there is a wrong narrative in this country. That is, as much as Kenya is a democratic country, there has been a narrative being peddled by perennial losers of elections that if we do not amend the constitution, there will be violence, there will be instability in the country. I think it is the wrong narrative because if you are saying democracy is that they say majority have their way and minority have their say. Why do you come and intimidate Kenyans and tell them if you don't go for referendum, there will be violence? And that is the narrative that Francis Atwoli allegations have been making. And
Senator Cherargei,
can I conclude?
Unfortunately, you have not answered my question, and that's our time. Let's take a look at the feedback that we have asked. Your question of what do we do to ensure it's not hijacked. Let's take a look at the feedback that we have on Twitter as well as on 22422 on what you've been saying. Citizen TV Kenya. Well, as we wait for that, there's someone, we got it finally. That is Masood says that the day I lost hopes in our parliament is during the oil taxation saga and how it ended. We have joyriders in as MPs and they don't care at all how the common mwananchi suffers.
Let's take a look at another tweet. One here says that, all right, Sam, I remember you reading that one. Let me look at this one by Michael. referring to the conversation we were having earlier when it comes to the issue of salaries and award allowance. Really, you are doing a lot. This is in regards to what Cherargei had said earlier. You're doing a lot while poor Kenyans are dying of hunger, lack of basic needs, and inflation hits rooftops, taking country to the right direction. Yet corruption is strangling as with no actions, MPs really have no difference when it comes with their predecessors.
And Kisangani says that Rigathi should know that audit reports are always discussed before a final report is done. Why should the governor claim not to be aware? Why didn't he raise it with the auditors before? Of course, that is a comment in regards to that story about Governor Waitito. So I want to give you just 10 seconds because we're out of time, practically.
10 seconds. I mean, at the beginning, we wanted to wish our Muslim brothers around the country Ramadan Kareem, Saum Makbul and Eid Mubarak, and especially my constituents, we have a lot of Muslims there. We wish you well during this period.
All right, and I think Antonio Loch speaks for all of us. Rigathi Gachagua, Member of Parliament from Mathira, Dan Manzo from Makueni, Senator Samson Cherargei from Nandi, as well as Antonio Loch from Mathira. Thank you so much for your time, for making time for us to discuss the few issues that we have. Up next, we'll speak to the Deputy Governor of Kiambu County, James Nyoro. He says that he has been sidelined at the county. He's shocked by the revelations that money has been misappropriated, that the county is financing national functions. So we'll be listening to him, what he has to say about that.
Day off.